Today, we are going to learn how to play Resource Rumble, the newest game mode that just launched in Marvel Rivals Season 3.5. There are a lot of similarities to Domination, but there are some pretty major key differences in this game mode. First of all, the map is ginormous, which makes sense because there's 3 objectives that have to coexist simultaneously on this map. Over here in front of this giant knoll is the first point, Point A, also known as the Throne of Knoll. And it's really cool because as you're fighting here, you can actually see Null just spectating, looking at everyone as you rumble. And if you get close enough to Null, he'll even start speaking to you, which is a nice little detail. In the very middle of the map, we have the B point, which I'm not kidding you. B in this case is for Breeding Cavern. So this is right smack dab in the center. And then on the complete opposite end of the Throne of Null is the final point, the C point, which is known as the Hell Gate area. And really, I like to just think of this entire map in 3 different lanes, the A, B, and C lane. Because if you look at the map from top down, I'm going to use point B here as an example, you'll see that your spawn room is completely in a straight line opposite of the enemy's spawn room. So keep that in mind when you're leaving the spawn room. You definitely want to take the exit that takes you there the fastest, because the point of this game is to take control of the objective so you can farm resource points to win the game. So after you take the objective, it's honestly not a bad idea to put pressure by pushing towards the enemy's spawn room in order to prevent them from going to the control point to steal it from you so that they can start farming points instead. So how do you know where to go if there's 3 different control points? Well, don't worry, you will get the unlock order at the start of each match. In this game that I'm playing, it's C, A, and then B. Now keep in mind, the first 2 objectives, whenever you or the enemy team has it under their control, whatever points that they gain, they get to keep them. If the game goes to the 3rd objective that I've colored here in yellow, that is when you can start stealing points from one another, only though if the team is ready to rumble, which I'll explain what that means in just a moment. But for now, let's go to the start of a resource rumble match so I can break it down for you. As you're selecting your hero, if you forgot the unlock order, don't worry. You can look over to the top left and it'll remind you of what the unlock order is up there. The unlock order will also be indicated at the top center of your user interface. So in this case, again, in this match, we're going to point C first, then point A, and potentially point B only if our team or the enemy team is ready to rumble and we need that final point to determine a winner, which I'll talk about more of that in just a moment. But as per usual, you have to wait for the area to unlock. So in this case here, we're fighting over point C, and you can see that there's 210 points available in point C, but either my team or the enemy team can take. Now, the enemy team wins the first team fight and they secure the area first, and they're gaining points. Now, you'll see this little bar is starting to get filled up. If this bar reaches 61 points, the diamond next to it will change into the team's color to let you know visually that the enemy is ready to rumble. Back in the match, I then portal in for my team and we win the next team fight to take over point C. So that way we can start gaining points instead of the enemy team. Because the enemy team only has 45 points and not 61, they are not ready to rumble just yet. We continue to put pressure onto the enemy team here, and we're gaining the remaining points that are indicated here at the very top center of the screen. So there's only a finite amount of resources that you can get from the first 2 points. Now over here at this point, we got 61 points, which means that my team is ready to rumble. That means even if my team didn't get any more points in C or A, we would still go fight at B, even if the enemy team were to start getting all of the remaining points, because it would mathematically be impossible for the enemy team at this point to win by just getting the resources that are left at the first 2 objectives. Now, when there's 60 points or less, it'll be highlighted in yellow at the top center here. And also Galacta will tell you where the next objective is, and you should be ready to move over that way. Now, one difference from Domination in this mode is Right now, my team has control of the objective, and the enemy is going to step on it in a moment. So whenever an enemy player is on the objective at the same time as you, you stop gaining the resources. So you'll see it's stuck here at 11 for a while because this Iron Fist is contesting us. So it's different from Domination, because if you're playing Domination, you'll keep getting percentage even if an enemy player is on there. So that is not the case with Resource Rumble. Now at this point, we gathered the last remaining resources, but someone from the enemy team is already at point A. They went there in advance. You can also go through these blue force fields to gain extra speed, by the way, to get to the opposite side of the map a lot faster. Now, the enemy team got there before us, so they're able to get those 61 points that they need. That means that they are ready to rumble. So we will be going to the B objective because it is mathematically impossible for my team to get 360 points with the remaining resources that are available at the A objective. So at this point, we got every single resource available that this point has to offer, and now we'll have to make our way to point B, the final mission area in this particular game I'm playing. Now, what's interesting about this is when you go to rumble with the other team, you only have to get up to 300 points to win now. We just need 7 points to win, and the enemy team has it, so we have to steal it from them. The enemy team, if they were to get control of the B point, they would start stealing our resources, and they could actually still win the game. But thankfully, my team is able to secure point B rather well, and because of that, we're able to get the remaining points that we need. We do go into overtime for a moment, so as long as if there's anyone from the enemy team that is present on the objective, they will halt the overtime counter from decreasing. But if there's no one on the point, then it'll keep going all the way down. Once it's all the way depleted, then you will either win or lose the game. In this case, we won. So we're going to go over to the second game that I played to use an example to explain something special about overtime in this mode that's different about the other modes. So in this game, the unlock order is C, B, and then A. So at this point in the game, my team is already ready to rumble, and we actually have enough points where theoretically we could win if we got all the remaining points from point B. But here's the thing, when you get to 359 points, or the enemy team gets to 359 points, overtime will instantly activate. It doesn't matter if an enemy team is not present on the point, it will still go into overtime. And I didn't realize this, so that's why I wasn't pushing up, because I wanted to make sure no one was touching the point. But I kind of sold like this particular part of the game because I would have been much more beneficial to my team if I was out there putting pressure with them. But because I didn't realize, it just goes into overtime. No matter if the enemy team is not there, they ended up taking the point, and the enemy team is then ready to rumble. So then we have to frantically go to the third objective point now. And as I'm going over there, unfortunately, my Luna ends up getting picked off. And then I see that my Black Panther uses his ultimate. So then I use my ultimate, and anyway, we ended up losing this team fight because I was just panicking and I wasn't really thinking straight at all. But I am glad that this happened, because then I got to understand how this third point works, because now at the top center of the UI, you see these little arrows that are going on. That indicates the speed of how many points the enemy team is stealing from you. So right now it's regular speed because it only has this one little arrow. So they're stealing about like a point a second or so. And if the bar is glowing like this means points are actively being stolen from your team. If you're on the point at the same time as the enemy team, you'll stop them from stealing your resources. But what's really interesting about this mode is as it goes on longer and longer in this final point, is the speed at which you steal points from one another is accelerated. So here we end up actually taking the point back for a while, which is great. And then we enter overtime once again. The enemy team then wipes us out and steals the point back from us. And at this point, that is when Galacta announces that the speed at which they're stealing resources from us is accelerated. So now you can see we're losing points significantly faster. And mind you, this is only 2 arrows out of 4. So as you can imagine, this can get really intense in the end game as you're constantly stealing the point back from one another. But eventually it does come to an end because the points that you're stealing from one another is just going so fast that obviously like a winner is just going to be determined at some point. Now we take back the objective and we're gaining points at an accelerated rate. And because of that, I think it threw the enemy team off and they thought that they had more time than they did, because instead of stepping onto the point, they took cover and ended up losing because they weren't contesting the point. So that's what Resource Rumble is. I hope that I was able to explain it well. Really what tripped me up is the whole ready to rumble aspect about it, but once it clicked in my head, it's like a switch flipped and I kind of just understood it. I like the randomness of this mode in particular, how the unlock order is always going to be different, and the game, I find it to be rather fast-paced. For right now, it's only in quick play, but eventually it will be making its way into the ranked competitive mode. But I hope that this video helped you get a basic understanding of how Resource Rumble works. If you have any questions about the mode, just let me know. If you're new to Marvel Rivals, check out my video here on the left. It explains how to play 3 characters in all the roles in Marvel Rivals. Or if you're still confused on what Marvel Rivals is and how to win in the different game modes, then check out the video on the right. And if you're looking for more Marvel Rivals videos, be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.